Welcome to the Healing Pod. I'm Megan, a licensed clinical psychologist.
And I'm Jessica, a licensed clinical social worker, and this is our journey of navigating anxiety as we learn to take up space and create an environment where we feel that we can belong.
Join us together as we learn not just to survive, but to thrive in our anxious brains.
This podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional therapy or medical advice. If you are experiencing any mental health concerns, please seek support from a qualified mental health professional or healthcare provider. Remember, your mental health is important, and seeking personalized professional help is key to your well-being.
And welcome back. We have survived one holiday of the giant mess and mush of them, so I don't know how many of y'all have survived yet, but we got through one. Now we're facing the others.
One down, one to go, and then we start the year all over again.
Yeah, I don't, I'm gonna like sit back a little on 2025. It needs to prove itself to me. I don't trust it yet. I'm not just gonna jump in full of hope. I'm just gonna sit back and say, all right, what you got? What you bringing here?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's been one string of crazy years after another. So I'm just here now, just
Yeah.
rolling with it.
I mean, we currently have 3 to 4 feet of snow outside here. We're gonna get another 10 inches or so over the next couple of days, and then it's gonna rain next week and be in the 40s. Yeah. So I got nothing.
I'm hoping we're back to our warm weather to next week because this week has been in the 30s.
Frost. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had frost in Florida. What are you doing?
And it's been so cold, and
Mhm.
I'm not about that life.
No, you don't have the cold clothes we have. Like I can get bundled up in 13 different layers and still be okay. You don't have that.
Yeah, my blood's not it's not prepared for that. Can't.
Drink more coffee. That'll help warm the blood. There you go. Yes. Yeah. So I know we talked last time about the different horsemen of the apocalypse for relationships and communication, which was appropriate for Thanksgiving and family get-togethers. And we're going to continue kind of looking at intergenerational trauma and why intergenerational trauma tends to pop up a lot over the holidays. What maybe we can do about it.
Have you ever thought Christmas is my favorite? I love it so much, but also why does it bring me so much anxiety? I'm with family and I should be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But why? Why do I have this anxiety?
I do love Christmas. I love the lights and the cookies and the colors and all of that fun stuff. And up until we moved up here, really for years, it was so stressful because we couldn't afford to come home often. We couldn't make the trip, so we would come home and there's all these expectations and go see this family and go see this family and go see this and go do this and go do this. And I'm like, but I'm missing out on half my family and I'm missing out on this and I can't do it all. And I just want to sit and cry over a holiday that I love. And I hate that feeling.
The obligation. I think that is the hardest part.
Mhm.
Even being married and not having our families don't hate each other or anything. They're very different and we
Mhm.
don't celebrate holidays together. So it's very obligatory of whose family do we spend time with. And now the other family feels left out. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh, here comes the guilt because you didn't spend that much time or you weren't here for this and you've always done this.
Mhm. Yes, and when you get that obligation and you get those expectations of, well, you're just gonna come here for breakfast, right? And you're gonna come here for presents, and you're gonna come here for dinner, and you're gonna come here for all of the important traditions that we have as a family, that the other side also has important traditions of that they would also like to, and when both sides build that pressure and that sense of you have to do it this way or else,
Mhm.
and you're just stuck in the middle. Oh boy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
let's talk about boundaries and ways to start healing that trauma and what intergenerational trauma is that causes these
I don't
feelings.
know. So no, like intergenerational, yeah, I can't say the words today. Intergenerational trauma, there we go, can have a lot of different forms. So you can have big things of I have literally inherited anxiety and depression from my parents because they were in wartime refugees and had no stability in their life. So my genetic code is predisposition to if anything is out of whack, I'm going to have these feelings. You can have this giant underlying thing. And you can also have the nice little silent, We have been in a pattern of narcissistic and borderline cycling abuse for generations upon generations that we're just starting to recognize and break out of and realize that is not the appropriate way to run a household. But all of those poles and all of those feelings and all of those traditions and tendencies and but this is how we've always done it is still
Mhm.
there. And that type of intergenerational trauma is where, as individuals, we can do the most work and have the most success in, hey, I need to set these boundaries. I need to do something about this. I need to change
Yeah,
how I am playing into this system.
absolutely. And also learning that as we become adults, just like our parents did, even though they hold it over our heads, we are allowed to create our own traditions and build our own families.
Mhm. That is the whole thing we have grown up to do. We move out of our parents' house. We find, ooh, this is the person I want to be with. These are the people I want to vote. These are more people I have added, be they
Mhm.
actual people like having children you have added to your family, or if they're friends, you're just like, nope, these are close friends. We're going to have them as close, integral parts of our life, or pets, or anything. You build this new nuclear base of these are my go to people. These are my main supports. These are the ones that I am relying on, that I am the primary supporter of. And then you get expected to go home for a family and to go back, if you're going back to your traditional house, you've gone back to your house where you grew up in. You were the kid. You had your room. You know where you went when you were grounded. You know what the kitchen was supposed to smell like. All of these things, all of these little tiny triggers and influencers for your behaviors are there. And then you add in
Mhm.
people. And yes,
People are the problem. I'm starting to feel like we should just get away from the people.
I'm a fan of animals. I like animals a lot. Should do that more.
Same.
Yeah. 'Cause if you think, like, walking into a house and having that familiar smell of, the kitchen cooking because it's the same meal that you always have every holiday, and that smell triggers you, and then you hear the voice that always called you the same name, calling you that same name, or the person that always responded to you in that way, or the bad joke your brother always told, or the thing your dad likes to poke fun at 'cause he doesn't understand, like, all of these same things that you had a step response to when you were in a
Mhm.
different state, you're going to have that pattern response. You're still going to have that tendency. You're going to want to go back to it, and not responding the same way is hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
It's almost like a fresh restart. And I think kind of to learn where we have these boundaries and understand what parts have created intergenerational trauma. How does my family respond? What have I noticed that is a pattern?
Mhm.
And what is making me so anxious about going over there?
Yeah.
Because the better understanding that we have of the expectations that have been placed on us, the more we can shift to what are the realistic expectations that I have for myself of what I want this holiday to look like.
Mm. I love that because I know how my anxiety works and how my brain works. I like
Mhm.
information. So I love that sense because being able to better understand what is going on around me, why are people responding the way they respond, lets me play more with how do I want to engage with this? How can I respond to it? What can I do about it? Right?
Yep, absolutely.
Because if you have, anxious parent trying to get the dinner table perfect, and you're like, oh, it's because it has to be perfect, and I don't really understand why, but I'm feeling your anxiety, you're going to feed off of each other and build it. And if you have anxious parent trying to get the dinner table perfect, and oh, this probably goes into how they were with their parent and the fact that the holidays were the only time they could really do something to help and to get praise. And if they didn't do it right, then they felt like they weren't actually contributing, whatever the story is, and
Mhm.
you can understand it, then you can actually address it. You can say, wow, mom, this looks amazing. You're doing great. Or wow, dad, you set everything up perfectly. It looks so gorgeous this year. You can add those little bits and pieces and see what happens when you do, or you can just step out because not gonna touch that right now because whatever that story is isn't ready to change for them yet.
Yes.
Yeah. because those are two very needed reactions, and I think it takes
Mhm.
the information to tell when is it something I can lean into and add something to change, and when is it something I do need to pull out of? Which goes back to your comment of we need boundaries for holidays. We need boundaries for our interpersonal interactions, especially when we're looking to change the way they've always gone.
Yes, absolutely. And I think a big part too is learning, what do you want Christmas to look like? We get so excited for it. Like, we love the holidays and all of this. What does the perfect Christmas actually look like for you? Because I'll tell you, for me, it is being at home. I like being home on my own body with no expectations of catering to other people,
Mhm.
with my Christmas tree and my decorations, and just being here. Hallmark movies and my children.
That sounds nice. Sounds really nice. And I think, like, even that, understanding what are you looking for?
Mhm.
This perfect Christmas idea, it can be such a lie. It's gotta be this bright, I have to have this many presents under the tree, we have to have dinner ready at this time. Like, it can be very staged and very, I'm hitting all the points of this and this and this, and not paying attention to anything that actually makes us connected. Makes a very pretty picture, makes gorgeous photos. You'll be in all the magazine spreads, it'll look wonderful, it'll make a great Christmas card for the next year.
Mhm.
And are y'all gonna talk to each other over the year? Does it actually make you feel connected? Did you feel happy to see people, or was it just a really, really good Christmas punch you drank?
Was it just an obligation?
Yeah. And is it just that moment, or is it the entire holiday season? All
Mhm.
of those.
All those things, my friend.
Yeah. How do we start to unpack all of those things for ourselves so we know what we are going into the holidays with, what our expectations are, and what we're bringing of our own trauma into this plate?
Yes. The goal is to minimize your anxiety. The holidays are supposed to be about connection and love and friendship and family and just the joy of life.
Mhm.
And instead, it's worried about what are we giving people.
Yeah. Do I have enough stuff? Does it look good enough? Did I buy the right gifts? Do I look like I'm cheaping out? Like all of that stuff on top of it, which, and capitalism loves. The stores love when we get anxious and overbuy,
Mhm.
or the post-holiday guilt. So when you do the holiday and you buy the stuff and then you're like, I don't know if I bought enough stuff or if I bought the right stuff, but you know what? They have sales on Boxing Day. Let's go shopping. And you rebuy everything. None of us ever needed that. No one needs that. That's
Mm-mm.
not an actual connection. It's great for, you know, Wall Street, it's great for market values, it's great for things like that, but for the family, for the actual connection of people, what are we doing? What is the point that we wanna get out of it? What are the moments we wanna actually have here, and why? Do we want it just to look good and be that picture? Do we want it to feel good? Or do we want to celebrate the people we actually enjoy celebrating? Well,
Those are the questions.
they are. And those are the hard questions. You got to ask yourself these questions. Why are you bothering to go to the family reunion Christmas party or Hanukkah gatherings or whatever you want to celebrate or Yule log? Like, why are you bothering to go? What do you want out of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you only doing it because somebody else expects you to? And I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest one for people. If I don't go, they're going to feel some type of way. How
Mhm.
is that going to affect you?
Yeah. And it might, if you're waiting for an organ donate from or transplant from a relative, or if you're in a really big will, that
That's
will
true.
affect you. That will absolutely affect you. If you are dependent upon your family members, upsetting them will affect you. But if you don't need
Mhm.
the liver transplant and you aren't in a will and you are dependent on your family members and you're still only going around them because you feel like you have to or else, Where did that break? And is it worth working on fixing, possibly at some point that is not involving a high stress, "Oh my gosh, we overspent everything. The turkey's cooked late. Uncle Bob is drunk again. Your cousin
Yes,
is
Uncle
trying to
Bob.
pick a fight." Right? Dang it. Too much holiday punch. Too much. Is that the right time to work on some of the stuff? Or is that the time to set the boundaries of, "I'm not gonna engage. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll go for a
Mhm.
short period of time. Maybe I won't go. Maybe I'll be busy or snowed in or something." It can happen. You know,
Mhm.
how do I want to engage? Why do I want to engage?
Do
What
I
do I
want
want to
to
make of
engage?
this? Yeah. Yeah. Can I go and just kind of sit and play holiday party bingo in my head and then randomly yell out bingo and make everyone confused?
Yes. Yes, we can.
You can. You should always make a bingo card. If it's going to be really stressful, just make a bingo, keep it on your phone and just kind of mark off the things. You'll put all the stuff you know you want to see in there. Because if you can laugh about it, that'll help. And if you can find the
Yes.
other people there to laugh about it, so hopefully you're bringing some sort of partner with you, or you have like, oh, okay, well, at least my sister's going to be there. That'll be great. Or okay, well, mom and I can always like at least need something. You need someone there. If you're going there and you have no one to commiserate with, why are you going? What are you
Right.
doing?
And also kind of looking at too, if you have children, your children
Mhm.
see everything. They're
Mhm.
watching the way you engage. They're hearing every time you're complaining behind the scenes because you don't
Mhm.
really want to go there, but it's an obligation. We have to go
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
And they're feeling that. So as they get older and you're wondering why you have to force them to go,
Mhm.
they have learned from all of the ways you have passed that childhood trauma of your own that you carried into holidays to them.
Yeah. I mean, I remember so my mom's parents, when I was really, really young, they had some sort of giant Christmas party. It was in their barn. I think it was all decked out. The only thing I really remember about that was being annoyed at the cousins because there was a lot of them and I had to babysit them even though I was short. Being confused by all the uncles and aunts because, again, there was a lot of them and I didn't want anything to do with most of them. And being very confused by mincemeat pie and not wanting to go anywhere near that thing or taste it or touch it. And no, why is this in my face? And why are you telling me I should? No, thank you. And that's
Yes.
it. Like, that's what I remember of this big, showy thing, this feeling of, I don't really know or like or want. Sure. There's mincemeat. There was like 20 different pies there. I don't even remember. I just remember the mincemeat and going, I'm not touching that. I've never tried mincemeat ever because it just, nope. I looked at it and said, no,
Like, this does not look
that
delicious.
does not look like it belongs in my mouth. No, thank you. And
We've
that's
all had that feeling at time, would you?
oh, yeah. Some people do not heed that feeling. Please heed that feeling. If it does not look like it belongs in your mouth, do not put it in your mouth.
Yes. Facts.
But that's the thing. Like it was this giant party, it's meant to be this big thing. And as the kid that was brought to it, I don't care. I remember that. I remember how I felt. And I remember
Mhm.
not really being close to anyone there. So I couldn't really identify anyone that was there. Like I know who was there because I know all the names of the relatives, but
Right.
I didn't feel anything from any of them at that time. Yeah. Versus like the other side of the family where I can specifically remember, eating my cousin's sandwich because he didn't wash his hands before dinner. And oh boy, that was a bad sandwich. It was a bad. I told him wash your hands or I'm gonna eat this. He didn't wash his hands, so I took a bite of it. It was bad. It was bologna and fluff. I love you, Andy, but that sandwich, bud. Whew. Like I remember very specific things and like the towers we would build on the blocks and like playing with the cousins, like very specific things about the other side of the family because it
Mhm.
felt so much more connected and warm. And that made all of the pretty Christmas stuff matter. Like the way the trees
Yes.
were always decorated, the way the house was always decorated, the way we would all come at some point for the holiday, like that stuff mattered because the people mattered.
Yes. The level of comfort and the connection you feel with the family you're visiting with really makes the difference.
Hmm. It does. And if, as an adult, you don't have that and you think you're pushing your children into this space because they need it, and if I just put them here, they'll have it. No, they won't. If you didn't, why on earth would your kids do that?
Right.
If you're uncomfortable and you are the main source of your child's sense of safety, what are you doing? Yeah. If there's no relationship any other time of the year, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, what about, let me think here. What about your self care? How do we add some self
Mm.
care in there when we're doing these with the
Do
obligation?
not drink the entire bottle of wine.
Why
Do not
not?
drink 2 bottles of wine because you will regret it later, and that is not really self-care. Drink a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine or 3 glasses of wine. But once you get, like, to that point of no return, we're old and we're going to be hungover the next day, that is too far. You want to
You
stop
will
before too far.
feel like shit. If you have
Ye
to work the next day, don't do it.
Even if you don't have to work the next day, just don't do it to yourselves. Just don't do it anymore. Like, there is fun and relaxing and very clearly, I drink wine, I don't care. Like, there is fun and relaxing, but there is the, "I'm anxious and I'm going to do this to make it." It's not gonna be better. Like, you want to watch the anxious drinking and the anxious eating because you will feel like garbage. You will.
Mhm.
So, having, like, something to fidget with instead for your hands is a useful thing. You know? Having anything else like that so you don't feel, like, obligated. Again, with the obligations there, it's like, "Oh, I have to keep having something." Holidays have a lot of food. If you have any issues with eating, holidays are very food centric and they can pull a lot of that stuff up.
Mhm.
So, do you specifically go for a non-dinner time? Do you say, "Hey, you can have hors d'oeuvres, but I'm gonna leave before there's the food because it's very much here it all is, and you should eat, and you should eat more, and you should eat more, and there's so much more. Why don't you take some home with you?" And for some people, that can be incredibly overwhelming,
Yes,
just that
absolutely.
aspect. So paying attention to that, that's part
And
of
also,
Mhm.
right, absolutely. And also making like it's okay to have a buffer. Maybe you don't
Yes.
feel comfortable or safe saying, I don't want to stay for the whole time. I'm only
Mhm.
coming for this amount of time. So it's okay to have a buffer of I have an obligation
Mhm.
also that I need to meet. So
Mhm.
I'm so thankful that you had me. This was fun. Also, I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. And that works for shortening your day, that works for switching
Hmm.
it and having a smaller one on the non-holiday day. If it's like, "Oh, I really, really love these people, but all these extra people that are coming, they're a bit much for me. I'm not actually connected to them. I'm going to be busy at this other family, this other house. I'm going to be working. I'm gonna be doing whatever. Can we do it this day instead?" We're currently in that process with our family because my parents are traveling every which way for this holiday. So it's like, all right, when are we gonna have a holiday? Probably January with how our schedules are looking so far, but we'll figure it out.
Hey, January is still, you're still alive. It's still family time to celebrate.
It works. It works. We'll still have good food. It'll be fun.
Exactly.
But doing that, like sometimes you have someone you are safe enough to give the full excuse to and say, "I am overwhelmed. Honestly, it's gonna make me stress and it's gonna make me not happy and I will be miserable, so I don't want to do it." That is a beautiful, wonderful thing when you have that person, and when you don't have that person, lie.
Hmm.
Lie. It's okay.
Absolutely.
Until you are safe to tell the truth, sometimes you have to buffer lie.
Anybody who has any form of connection to me
Mhm,
knows that I am very easily overwhelmed. Even though I talk to people for a living, I do not do well having to small talk and conversate with people all of the time
mhm,
at all, period. Like, not for me. So, I love my in laws. I'm very close with my in laws. I could spend time with them all the time. But the rest of his family, like, they're very sweet. They're very nice people. I just don't have a connection to them. And they like small talk. That's not me. And they all like sports. So
mhm.
30 minutes and I'm done. Like I'm over it. I'm ready to go. And then I'm just chasing kids around the house while my husband's watching sports. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, did you have a great time? No, I was fucking miserable.
Mhm.
But also I feel obligated because that's his family, right? Whereas my family is not, we don't need to entertain each other. Like we eat together. We're a food family. and we have our traditions. Like we open our presents and then we just kind of like chill. We turn on Christmas movies. We don't have to interact with each other. Like we can and we will,
Mhm.
but it's not an obligation. So we grew up very differently. Their Christmases, their holidays are very formal, and people come at a
Mm.
certain time, you eat at a certain time, and then you sit and watch sports. That's not for me. So I struggle with that. So people know, like, I'm not going to tell you I'm uncomfortable, but I am going to find an excuse to leave.
Okay. So with that, like knowing you're heading into the space, knowing holidays are upon us, how do you set yourself up so you're not just backed into a corner hating every sport that exists? What do you do?
So this is where that buffer comes in, right? Like,
Mhm.
thankfully, I have the excuse of we do have children from different, different parties.
Mhm.
So I have the excuse of, hey, I got to take my kids over to their dad's. Even though they don't spend Christmas, they spend Christmas Eve with them and I get home for Christmas. Or even that buffer of, all right, I can stay for this amount of time and then I'm going to go spend time with my family. And I never like create that obligation of you have to leave your family and come with me.
Yeah.
It's just known at a certain time, Jess is going to be walking out that door.
And I think that's a very big thing. Like it's a frustration for me because I have to do it all the time with Casey. But
Mhm.
sometimes you have to split the holidays. Sometimes it's I'm
Yes.
gonna go here and you're gonna go there, or we're gonna go here together, but then I'm gonna go there because I'm burnt out and over socialized and I need something different and something more me, and you're not, and you need this. And that's
Right.
okay. We had this together. This was great. Gonna separate and we'll meet back together afterwards.
And for newlyweds, I think that's hard. I remember like our first couple of years together, that was really hard for me. Because I grew up with you're with your family for the holidays.
Mhm,
So I used to get so frustrated. Why are you not happy coming with me when we're now doing this?
mhm,
Like we're here. We're where I want to be now. Why
mhm,
aren't you happy? You were just happy at your mom's. So it took a lot of introspecting for me
mhm.
to recognize we can spend part of the holiday together. And it's okay that we don't spend the whole holiday together because I have what I like to do and he has what he likes to do. And they are not the same thing.
Mhm. Yes, and that goes a lot back to that sense of boundary. So the boundary really is where you end and the other person begins, and
Mhm.
making it a very clear thing. And when you're in that lovey-dovey newlywed phase, it's very enmeshed. This is how we form these bonds. We kind of enmesh, and then we realize that we are humans and we need to be humans. But I'm
Yes.
happy, so you should be happy. I love this, so you should love this. This is my space, so this should be your space. What do you mean you'd rather be watching sports than sitting and reading? What do you mean? Like it takes that bit of time to realize that what is for me and what I am feeling, what I need is not the same for you. And I do not have to give up my comfort level for you, nor do you have to give up your comfort level for me. We can actually work this out.
Mhm. I'm going to go here. I'm going to tell you I'm going to my parents, which I will for like
Mhm,
5 minutes. I'll go say hi. And then I'm going to go sit in my nice, warm, cozy bed and I'm going to read my books.
mhm,
You may think that I'm out with my parents, but it's a good thing he doesn't listen to my podcast. But I am sitting at home either on the couch or in bed,
mhm.
wrapped in a blanket, reading a book.
Yeah,
And I'm
you're
okay with that.
doing yeah, you're absolutely okay with that because you are doing what is good for you. And, if he paid attention and listened to the podcast, if he said, "Oh, yeah, that's all you need. That makes sense. Then I can do what I need, and you can do what you need, and we are both happier and less stressed and less burnt out, and this actually
Mhm.
works really, really well." Versus
Yes.
the obligation and "It's a holiday, please have absolutely no boundaries and allow me to just dictate to you what you must do." That's
It
a lot of
doesn't
stress. That's a lot of
work.
ideas. No,
Yeah,
it
it
does
starts a
not.
fight every time.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
realistically, we've been married 4 years now. Our first 2 years. Yeah, last year was the first year that we were like, all right, cool, we can do different things.
Mhm,
So we do Christmas like with our kids, and then we go to his parents on Christmas Eve so they can do their presents.
mhm.
And then he does what he wants to do, which is watch sports, and I go do what I want to do, which is hang out with my parents, and then nothing.
And that's the thing, like, when you have a good, solid relationship, it really is 2 individuals that are working together for a common good. It's not you
Mhm.
have to be me and you have to be like me and you have to do all the things that I'm doing and we have to do every single moment together. If you're together every single moment of all the time, you don't have anything to talk about over the dinner table. How are you going to
Same.
compare stories on whose cousin was the craziest today if you only saw one side of cousin? You got to have the contrast here.
Yeah.
You do.
Yep.
Yeah. You do want things that you do like together. Like there should be some Christmas that is just for that new bond that you have, just for that family you have.
Mhm.
And like, come and see you, you can come in and see mine and things like that. But if it doesn't click, if that's not a comfortable space for you, shoving yourself in there and saying you have to do it because it'll make a good Christmas card. Christmas pictures take like 5 minutes max, people. If we all just go, get it, take the picture and leave, we're done. That's good. Good enough. You can have your pretty
Facts.
smiling face and then we can actually go relax and enjoy.
Now we can go on with our lives.
Exactly. And do whatever part of the traditions actually remind you why you like the traditions. There's
Yes.
there's a lot you want to keep that you learned, but the things you want to keep, they're because you love them, because they make you feel warm, they make you feel connected, they remind you of the people you love. You don't want to keep things for the sake of, well, I always did this. Well, if
Mhm.
you have the ugliest Christmas decoration ever and you're like, well, I always put it out, okay, why? Is it a joke and it makes you laugh and it's ridiculous? And I was like, oh, that one again? Sure, absolutely put it out. But feel like, oh, I really hate this one. Where can I hide it this year? I just don't want to. Why are you putting it out? What are you doing to yourself? Don't, if you really, really, really do not like that one relative, why? Is it because they're actually a horrible human being and they treat everyone like garbage and they make you all uncomfortable? Maybe don't invite them. Don't invite that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go see that one on their own separate time. If you feel like, okay, but I have to see them, go see them. But don't invite them. There's a difference.
I
Boundaries gotta move like that.
Exactly. And that's hard for people to understand is just because you've always done it doesn't mean you have to keep
Mhm.
doing it.
Mhm. Yeah. So if it's always been done away, the reason why it was first done that way was probably because somebody had no earthly idea what they were doing and they said, seems like a good idea. Let's do it this way. That's where the vast majority of any habit or tradition or anything we have set comes from. It's like,
Mhm.
huh, well, that seems like a good idea. Let's do it that way. Most of the time, they're not, we are doing it this way because there's actually a very valid that all usually comes later. We make that stuff up to justify it. So if you're
Yeah.
doing something and it hurts, stop? Question mark. Can you stop? Why are we not stopping? What is the point of not stopping?
What would happen if we don't do this
Hmm.
anymore?
Hmm. Yeah. Like if you have a Christmas party, and like I said, I love wine. If you have a Christmas party and you have an entire open bar full of everything, and everyone gets so plastered drunk that there are arguments and broken things and people vomiting we're not in a frat here. We're not, we're not newly 21 college students here. What if we just do like a cocktail and snacks instead?
Mhm.
So that yes, you can have a drink, absolutely, but we're not going to anxious drink to the point where we destroy the entire house because that's what we've always done. Because why? No, no, we don't. No one needs those. No. But yeah,
Oh, goodness.
what is the tradition? Why are we doing it? Is
Mhm.
it Is it building me up? Is it making me feel loved? Or is it making more anxiety? Is it making more trauma? Is it more, I'm going to force my children through this so that they come out of it going, oh gosh, now I have to do that. Now I have to be the one to come to the house. Why do we want to do that to your kids? No. I like Jess's kids. Jess's kids are awesome. We don't want to do that to Jess's kids. Mm-mm.
And my kids will tell you, I don't like this. And I don't want to do it.
I like her kids. Her kids are very smart. They listen to the podcast.
Yes, they do. Oh, goodness. Funny enough, my 11-year-old, he has it on his phone.
Oh,
And
I
his
love it.
biggest thing, he's like, "I can't tell your voices apart. Is that you or Megan talking?"
Figure it out. I'll send him the raw file so he can see how they're different. Yes.
Like, "Why do you sound the same?"
We just match. I don't know. We figured this
"I
out. We just
can't
matched.
help it."
It's just my voice. Don't try to be this way.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But it's always interesting to me. Like, I think one of the biggest things I notice about like the family traditions and the intergenerational trauma is there tends to be a family member that is like, no, we will do this and we will be here and we will do this. And when they inevitably age and pass on, that's where you get to see, okay, what's actually here. Because
Mhm.
either you have everyone going, wow, let's honor this and I miss this and let's, kind of alter it to what we can do now, but we're going to create these new traditions to keep doing it. Or you have somebody try to step into that role and try to mandate everyone doing it and no one listens to them. Or everyone just disperses and doesn't listen anyway. Do you notice that too? I see that a lot. What do you see?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do it my way or no way. If you
Mhm.
don't like it my way, you must be wrong.
Right. And when it's, again, when it's that force and that obligation, and we do it because it's always been that way, there's no binding power. There is, we do it because we're afraid of upsetting you. And as soon as that's not a threat anymore, why would I do it?
Right. Yep.
So that's either you have set your boundaries of, oh, wait, I'm in a healthier place and I don't need to have mincemeat pie ever. It's great. You either do that or you wait until it's no longer an option. And it's like, oh, well, they're not here anymore. So I don't have to care about upsetting them, which is
Mhm.
sad because you should just be able to say no mincemeat pie for whatever reason you want to. Again, I've never tried it. I'm sure some people love it. Sure, some of it's good for someone, but no, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's never been for me. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Just the look of it. I have a texture thing, so sometimes it's like, nope, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I know. But I love it. Like, I do love it because I think the boundaries and the traditions and relationships in general, they have to be alive. So they have to adapt. So when something is very rigid and it has to be this way, and we always have to have it this way, or else it will die eventually because it's already dead.
Mhm.
It's not a thing. We're just kind of propping it up here. We're weak into burning the tradition. But then when it can change, when it's like, oh my gosh, this person we really want to be here is working that weekend. Well, why don't we have it the weekend before, or the weekend after?
Yeah, who made it where, like, this is the day? If you don't celebrate on this day, it doesn't count.
I don't know because I've never been able to have that with my schedule, like never.
Yeah.
So it doesn't compute in my head. Like, do you have that? Does it have to be this day for you?
For me, it doesn't. So this
Okay.
is like, for those who don't know me that well. So my husband has children from a prior relationship, and then I have children from a prior relationship. And that's just never been an issue with me and my ex-husband. It's he takes them Christmas Eve. I have them on Christmas. For Thanksgiving. I worked this year. He could have had them on Thanksgiving, but he did the day before. And it's just maybe it's because when we got married, like he was in the military. So our life like has never been on a day. It's our holiday was always celebrated whenever he came home because inevitably our entire 9 years of marriage, he was gone on every single holiday.
Oh,
So it just never was we celebrated on that day. Like we celebrated Christmas in January so many times. Um, so I guess it's never really been that big of a deal to me, but like for my husband and his psychotic ex, sorry, but she like throws a freaking fit if he does not split the day with her. She will not do it day before, the day after, or like agree to like swap or whatever. It has to be that day. So we have to like take either the morning and then she gets the afternoon or whatever. And I just never understood that. You could have a whole freaking day to celebrate
Mhm.
if we just agree on, I'll take this day, you take that day. What is the big deal?
Yeah. And I'll see the kids being used in a lot of situations like that as the excuse of, no, no, they have to be able to. Did you ask them?
Right.
Why? What would they like? What tradition matters? What matters to them about the holiday? What do they like about it? What do they not like about it? You know,
Yes.
maybe Maybe some of the kids are like, oh my gosh, no, because I love breakfast at mom's house because we get the stockings and they're so huge, but I really like the way dad cooks the turkey. So I really have to have dinner at dad's. Like maybe they have that going on, or maybe they're like, no, I just hate it when you guys are stressy and bundling us up and making us drive all over the place when we have new toys at either house. I don't know. Have
Yeah,
you
and that's
asked?
always been my thought. Like, the reality is for kids, Christmas is about the presents.
Mhm.
And now they just opened all these really cool presents that they now don't get to play with because we got to make mom happy. So now you have to go to mom's for the next 6 hours. And when they get home, they're so tired. They're like, I don't even care that I have presents. Like, I'm just going to bed. And those presents can't come to my house, and my presents can't go to your house. So I just like, why are we hurting the kids?
I don't know. I mean,
I
I
don't know
have
why.
I have run into 2 instances now where there was a divorce and the kids stayed in the house and the parents swapped out who was in the house. Right? And it's like
I don't,
totally
I don't,
impractical for the parents, but the kids love it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Someone actually
that
thought
is
of the
like
kids.
truly putting your kids first.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to you guys. I don't know if you actually listen to this podcast, Jess or Susan, but you're awesome. Yeah. Like it's actually like you cared about your kids enough to say they need the stability. I can do this for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, that needs to happen, you know?
Absolutely. They're there for the longest time. So when our kids were younger,
Mhm.
my ex, because we got divorced when our 11-year-old was 2, he celebrated like all of his family lives in California.
Mhm.
So my family has been his family for we got married super young. Like I was 16 when we got married. And even though we couldn't stand each other, like we were able to put that aside. And for holidays, for probably the first 5 years of our divorce,
Mhm.
every holiday he came to our house. Like he celebrated the holidays at our house with the
Yeah.
kids. He was
Yeah.
there, like had dinner with us, the whole
Mhm.
9 yards. Because for them, it was all the same. Of course, like the very first one, we got divorced in I think like November. Like we separated from
Oof.
like
Oof,
October or
oof.
something. And he was very, they need to come. He was staying in a trailer. They have to come stay with me, right? Or an RV, like
Mhm.
camper. When I say trailer, like an RV camper.
Yeah.
And he literally texted me and he was like, "Hey, the kids are miserable. Can I bring them home?" I was like,
Oh.
"Absolutely."
Oh, thank you. Good dadding. Good dadding.
Right. Like, absolutely. And he did. Like, he brought them. And when he brought them, like, he didn't even get out of the truck. I was like, "Do you want to come in?" And he did. And ever since then, it was like, while they were little,
Mhm.
we celebrated all the holidays together because it was for them. He was able to recognize, like, the kids are really just going with us because we're making them and they
Mhm.
don't like this.
Yeah, and it can be hard. Like there's so many reasons why relationships don't work out and it can be really really contentious, really hard. There's some cases where it's not safe to be
Yeah.
around your ex like that. It's not safe to do anything other than and absolutely like this is not put away your own safety because kids need to be comfortable. But
Right.
if you're able to be these adults and you're able to keep these boundaries and you're able to, hey, you're going to have a relationship with this person like it or not for at least 18 years here. Can you manage that? Can you navigate that?
Create a workaround. It doesn't have to become
Mhm.
unsafe for you. How do
No.
we agree, right? What do the kids want? Are they old enough? Can we ask
Mhm.
them? Like,
Yeah.
would you rather do different days or do you guys want to split the day?
Yeah. I'll say get their input as much as you can because teaches them to think and to put their desires and their needs out there and to figure out, oh, it's okay for me to have a request and to say what I want, which is something we don't do when we just do obligated family gatherings that we're like, I have to show up and stay here no matter what. So teach our kids better than we do.
Exactly. That's my kids are very vocal about, Ryan and I got married 4 years ago. So my kids are grown. Like they're basically grown. JT is 17 and they love his parents, but they don't know the rest of his family.
Mhm.
And they were very vocal about like we did Thanksgiving there last year, not this year because I worked, but last year we did Thanksgiving there. And before we even went, like they have spent their whole lives doing Thanksgiving with my parents. And before we even went, my kids were like, "Mom, do we have to stay all day? Because if we do, I don't want to go." And I
Yeah.
was like, "It's up to you. Like, you just tell me when you're ready to go, and
Mhm.
you can go."
Mhm.
So they were given the option. My oldest drives, like, sure, you can either take your car. So when you guys are ready to leave, you can just leave. Or if you want to go with me, like when you're ready to leave, just tell me and we'll leave. And they did. Like, midway through the day, they were like, "Wow, we don't be here anymore. Can we go home?" Like, I'm bored. So, absolutely.
That will also solve the problem of having the teenagers just buried in their phone the entire time or just
Mhm.
staring at a wall, rolling their eyes all the time because they're so bored and you're not letting them be buried in their phone. Like,
Yes.
okay, you don't want to be
Like,
here. You can either engage with people you like or not.
yeah, after they spent the morning while we were there playing with
Mhm.
their siblings, because you got all tiny siblings.
Yeah.
And then when they were done and they're like, "I'm over these kids, they're whiny, can we leave?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, we're gonna leave the tiny people with Ryan. It's all good. Let's go.
Go get more turkey. Always more food.
I'm gonna go eat at Nana's."
Yeah. Listen, you know where the good food is and you go for that.
Exactly. And you know, they're both like my in-laws are really good cooks, and then my mom's a
Mm.
really good cook. I didn't have to cook once, and I had 2 turkey
Right.
dinners. I was like, "I'm good with it."
Oh, that's good. We had our plans got canceled because of all of the snow we got. So last minute, like within oh gosh, it wasn't even because we were supposed to leave the next morning. We decided that night. So like within 12 hours, I managed to pull together Thanksgiving dinner. It was small,
Awesome.
but it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, this year my in-laws went on a cruise, which I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
So
That
they
was
were like, "We hosted Thanksgiving last year. We're not doing it this year." And my kids stayed with my parents, and I worked. And
yeah.
then poor Ryan was by himself, so I did go back over because
But
I
he
was
got
at work today.
sports.
Yeah, I was like, "You had football all day long."
Yeah.
And I
Get the cookie
ordered
range.
dinner, like the
Yeah.
prepared dinner from Publix. Like, all you have to do is put it in the oven,
It's kind of nice. Yeah.
right? I do that. I don't cook. I don't cook, friends. If you ever want a home cooked meal, don't come to me because I'll throw some chicken nuggets in the air fryer.
One of these days when it's not this snowy, I'll get her up here and cook for her.
I'm totally down for that. I'll
Yeah.
come. I'll come stay with you.
Just when we have less than 4 feet of snow, probably.
Yeah, it's got to get warm first.
Yeah. I'll see you in the spring.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to like Manhattan
Mm,
in the winter, but also I fucking hate the cold, so I can't make
yeah.
myself do
I can't do
it.
more than a night in the city because it's so much. Like I love going to Broadway. I will happily go to a show and then I'm done. Mhm.
Oh, we need to go see Wicked Live together.
Yes. Oh,
The
I love
movie was so
weekend.
good. Have you seen
Oh,
it? Oh my god, it was so
yes.
good.
I can't. I have to wait a whole another year for the next half. It was so good. I
Yeah.
know. I know. I was like, I love the story and I love the book. So I'm sitting here like, is this going to be more musical or is this going to be more of the books? How much are you going to rip out my heart? That's all I want to know. How much are you going to rip out my heart?
They did not leave it was a long movie, but they did
Mhm.
not leave anything out. They did such a good job.
They did really good. It was just fun. It was so much of it was practical effect. Yeah, we're geeking out, guys. Deal with it. So much of it was just practical effects too. Like they made the train. Elphaba was doing all of her own stunts and flipping around on wires and stuff. It's like, okay, this is why it
Yeah,
feels so good and looks so good
it was
because it's not
awesome.
just CGI. Yeah, it was really good. Highly recommended. Mhm.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be going to see it again. My little butthead kid went with her boyfriend for a second time. I was like, "You didn't take mommy?" She's like, "You had to work."
That's fair, but still not
She's like,
appreciated.
"We went and saw it together." I'm like, "And you saw it the first time and again the second time. I wanna go see it again."
Mhm, mhm. It's pretty, it's fun, it's great, yeah. Mhm. They did a good job with that.
Yes.
So, yes, I would definitely go see Wicked with you in New York City. That'd be fun.
Will do.
When it's less cold. It's kinda
Yeah,
it's less shame
we
weather.
gotta get the warms.
Yeah, yeah. So, yes. So, going back and kinda wrap it up here. So, looking at we got trauma because we all got trauma, and we got intergenerational trauma because we come from trauma, and we don't wanna pass it on. So, when you're running into these holidays, remember yourself. Remember your boundaries. Remember your limits. Set them, follow them. No one else is going to, so you have to do it for yourself. And if you got kids, you gotta do it for your kids.
Yep.
Yeah. You gotta advocate for them, not to just put up with being miserable because it makes a good picture.
And if other people get upset about you setting those boundaries, maybe they need to adjust their own expectations. And it's not on you
Mhm.
to feel their feelings for them.
It is not. It is very like one of the biggest things with the boundaries and with this time of year is what are you feeling and what are they feeling? Is this your anxiety or is this theirs? Are you actually worried about this or are you just worried about how they're going to respond to it? And if so, does that matter anymore?
Right. Do we just not want to upset somebody?
Mhm. And there's plenty of wonderful, lovely people that do things that we're like, "Okay, I can do this because I don't wanna upset you." That is watching a sports match. That is not spending all day unable to move because you have to be really excited about every single sports match ever. There's a limit, and that's okay.
Exactly.
If
My
you love
husband
them,
learned
they
really
love
quick. If you want me to be excited for this, you got the wrong spouse.
you.
I will sit
But
here with you, but I want
yeah,
to book. And if
it's like
you're
you
like,
will
oh my God,
sit
did you see
there.
that? No.
Nope. Didn't see it and didn't understand it even if I did, reading my book next to you, but you know what? I'm happy reading my book next to you, so why not?
I've learned to say, oh, wow, that was really cool. Are you watching? You're not even watching. Nope.
Nope. I was like, yeah, when sports go sports, we know most of what goes on anyway.
Exactly.
I like live sports, and I will watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. That's about what I do for sports, and I watch the Olympics because those are fun because they have lots of different things.
Yes. I like live hockey. I do not
Mhm.
enjoy watching hockey on TV. I think it's boring. Sports on TV to me is
It's
boring.
because they cut away from all the fights.
Yeah. Even, and they break them up too fast now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when I first started watching hockey, there was fights all the time. And now the
Mhm.
refs are like right there. I'm like, stop, just let them swing. I like violence.
Yeah. And that's what it really comes down to. So happy violent holiday. Yes. But remember yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Know your
Mhm.
limits and actually value them and value the limits of your partners and your kids and your family members. We got to work together on this. And if people aren't working together with you, don't visit them.
Yes.
Just
Value
say hi
yourself
and
enough
goodbye.
to know you're important.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, with that, we shall wrap it up unless you can think of anything else to add.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us again. This will go out on Monday, so it'll be pre Christmas still. So happy pre holidays. Hopefully, you all survive the one, and we'll see what comes next. But if you found us once, you can find us again. We are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are anywhere where you can find a podcast at The Healing Pod, Navigating Anxiety and Mental Health Together. And where else are we at online?
We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Awesome. So Google stalk us. You can find us if you have any questions, comments, want to rant, go for it. Like hearing from you all, and we will be back soon to talk to you guys later. So take care. Bye.
Bye, friends.